As time progresses, the last 2.5 years, Part 1. Laying in hospital bed watching a young blonde with hot cherries lips, blue eyes, and false lashes support worker behind an enclosed curtains, leaving a gap for me, just to see through in early hours of the morning, just to watch her give a dying elderly man a masturbation with one hand under the blanket and the other hand on her breast was beyond reasonable doubt behavior. 90 minutes later, the elderly man family arrived, and he died within hours, and his body was let for 12 hours before C2 had taken away in a bag on a trolley. Single female trainers were gathering around the ward's doctors as lusts. Support workers brought the UK by British agencies from African tribes, and when asked how many years their visa was for, and with the reply any number of years till they had saved £20,000, then they would return to their tribes. Miss Elsie never understood what the black Africans were saying illegal to her. Miss Elsie has the mentality of a 16 years old, and Mr. KM purposely overlooked what these black Africans' intentions, that they intended to do. The black Africans were accommodated in the hospital staff accommodations within the grounds. It reminded me watching the series Roots with my grandmother. Most of these black Africans had egos like if they had to be rewarded with respect for being savs. I wrote 4 pages of the behaviour in this hospital of patients, and emailed to a Welsh news broadcaster, Mr. J. He ignored the email. The 4 written pages was not about subject of hospital staff who never give the patients respect, rather like Parkview Care Home and the Wellwymore Care Centre, where a red-hair immigrant one early hours of the morning I buzzed for a drink. The red-head immigrant pushed my chin into my chest and couldn't swallow. I have a drink, then forced my back onto the bed pillow, and still the red-head immigrant wouldn't give in. And with force I beat fucker, and had a drink ever since. I have never asked for a drink early hours of the morning. My last drink at the Wellwymore Care Centre is at 19:30, just like George Floyd's. A coloured auxiliary nurse came into my room, and as there's different capacity of pitch sound layers in downloaded compressed media files, and with no technology of assistive technology in the room except for my own, which I cannot use laying in bed, which I couldn't use to lower the volume, the coloured auxiliary nurses lowered the TV below 70 bar are generally considered safe for your ears, yet each person has slightly different hearing abilities. Normal hearing is a range of decibel levels. Normal hearing is between 0 to 20 decibels. If your hearing threshold is anywhere in this range, you have normal hearing. The coloured auxiliary nurse lowered the TV volume to less than 15 decibels is slightly sound hearing of below 15 to 20 decibels, and for my hearing is moderate between 40 to 69. Couldn't hear the list of movies that I prepared to play in a sequence. With no technology of assistive technology that Pete Carvley has no provided me in the 8 feet by 9 square room to operate the lights and the TV with my right foot while lying in bed is a shame on his company called Barchester Healthcare. A mild hearing sound level is below 26 to 40 decibels, and a severe hearing sound level is below 70 to 94 decibels. The coloured auxiliary nurse who couldn't tell the difference between fat and pregnancy have come into my room and discriminate my abilities of disabilities. The fucking coloured bitch. As a learner writer as I am, can write concerns written without any fear, because it is the facts and truth. The fact is for TV's volume numbers between 12 and 14 is appropriate for hearing in a small room area with 8. For selling heightened depending on capacity of media type, that is screening. Either Dolby, stereo, or mono is the correct volume numbers to select. Decoding digital visual discs to allow faster speeds. That some discs takes up to 8K of data, which is 10 gigabytes of video and sound. The compression that Netflix of Amazon compress their media to is below average of hearing, therefore the TV volume numbers must be slightly higher, especially for old 40s media. So when someone living at the Wellwymore Care Centre set up a playlist to stream and not aware, and cannot change the capacity of the TV volume, and do have any uses of assistive technology, because of Pete Carvley has taken assistive technology away from his multiple disabilities residents, who is recovering less than 100 grand per residence a year from local authorities, £1,800 a weekly. The auxiliary coloured nurse has, for being a matron, show off nearly had printed knuckles on her face. Wymore Care Centre is filled with different short-term illnesses, dying people, which required professionals' qualifications, and not sane and neighbourhood fish shops unprofessional low-levels qualifications that Pete Carvley allowed to be employed. The immigrants that are employed at Wymore should be exported by canoes, access the Mediterranean to their own countries to slaughter their own nationally of different illnesses, and the spreading of visas throughout the Welsh Valley of sane and detailing medical beds records at Wymore. Eminent universities medical science students who are allowed to sneak into United Kingston not with their qualifications. Here at Wymore, sitting in my own manual wheelchair located at the lounge, surrounded by electric wheelchairs waiting breakfast, is something that allowed me to be among, and severing food on the second floor is very highly cautioned dangerous with no utilities facilities is poorly hygienic area. The bacterium that severed and dished out to 25 rooms, then fetched back trays and placed on a 5-inch window still of indistinguishably does not meet the health and hygienic regulations, spikes the fact that does not meet the health and safety regulations. How I know these regulations? I had to learn these regulations to be able to design and write neath Port Talbot authority systems, and if this was the case of an inspection for a cafeteria within authority, the inspectors wouldn't close the business of the cafeterias. Witnessing large non-illnesses, residents who are incontinent either with urine punches or pads being hoisted from beds and pushed out through rooms doors to the corridors and placed in their wheelchairs, and vice versa, to witness excrement and urine to be slashed in the corridors, and double parking of with wheelchairs the corridors gangways is impossible to pass. The food supplies of 2 Sundays roasts, 3 sane and fish and chips meals, plus the choice selection for the bar menu weekly. Sandwiches, tuna, cheese, ham, salad, jacket potato, tuna, cheese, baked beans, something on toasts, cheese or baked beans, omelette, cheese and ham, soup of the day, Heinz tomato soup, sausages and mash, with fish shop sausages. The cholesterol of a Wymore food supplies exception high, that produce the calorie count of an average portion of fish and chips is in the region of 861 calories, and according to